Welcome back to the Grind, Sleep, Repeat podcast. On today's episode, we are going to talk about why you do not need to rely on motivation to hit your fitness goals.
Yeah, motivation, even for us, is something that comes and it goes. And you might start a new program and you're super motivated and you see initial progress, and then life gets busy, it gets crazy, and that motivation starts to waver. So we want to talk about some systems that you can implement right now that are going to help you not only see progress when motivation is high, but also stay in line with your goals when that motivation is low, because we can't rely on motivation. It's something that no matter who you are, it will come and it will go. But if you can set these systems up and set yourself up for success, you're going to be able to keep working towards your goal even in those times of low motivation.
Yeah, when you first have a fitness goal or you decide to start your fitness journey, you're coming off really strong and you have high motivation. But typically, as you get in the middle of that or towards the end of that goal, that motivation starts to fade. So once you can get into a good structure, a good routine, then you have to rely less on the motivation and just simply on that routine itself. So that's going to lead us into the first tip, which is going to be making sure that you have a training program that makes sense and it's structured. So what that would look like is having a weekly split, such as a leg day, an upper body day, and doing those twice a week, and then having 2 days of cardio, whatever that looks like for you, but being consistent with that and following a structured program that you can progressively overload from.
Yeah, and make sure that program is custom to your goals. So we need to spend enough time with the program in order to allow the program to work and for it to see results. We don't want to program hop from, 1 week we're doing this program and then the next week we're doing this program. We have to give our program enough time for us to see the results that we want to see. And like I was saying, make sure that it makes sense. Make sure that, if you have certain goals, you're building a program that is going to help you reach those goals. And I would even take it one step further, and with your program, make sure that it has specific days that you're doing certain workouts. And what we'll try to do a lot of times too is with our clients that we're training here at the gym is I want them in a specific slot so that they can plan that workout. They're going to be more consistent, and you can do the same thing, is find out exactly what times, what days you're going to go work out, because the more detailed and the more structure that we can really create with our program, the more accountable we're going to stick, the more consistent we're going to stick with that program, and we're going to see better progress. Because I think a lot of times where motivation starts to lack is when life gets crazy, gets stressful, and we miss a couple workouts, and then the motivation dips because we're like, I'm losing my progress. I'm not seeing the results that I want to see because we're not sticking to the program. So if you can create really specific structure on, I'm going to go to the gym on this day, this day, this day, at this time, this time, this time, you're going to be consistent with that, and you're going to be a lot more likely to see better results, keep the motivation high. But as always, motivation is going to be something that comes and goes. So when you're in a period of low motivation and you have that detailed structure of on this day, this day, this day, this time, I go and do this specific workouts as a part of my plan, it's going to be a lot easier to replicate that rather than just random workouts. It's easy to miss. You don't know when you're going to do it. You're just going to do it at some point in the day. More structure, more detail is always going to be better.
Yeah, and keep in mind that it may take you some time to find that right time of day for you. But if you're someone who likes to get it out of the way in the morning, start off, whether that means you got to wake up at 5 a.m. or, get like only 30 minutes in of a workout. Anything's better than nothing. Do it over your lunch break. Do it at the end of the day. But if you're somebody who knows at the end of the day, I got kids to run around to sports. I got kids to pick up from school. I got to cook dinner. I got lots of other things on my plate. Then my biggest tip for you is to get it done in the morning and wake up extra early. Make sure you go to bed early and plan for that. And like I said, if it's only 30 minutes, that is better than doing nothing at all.
Yeah, and if you are somebody that you can't wake up in the morning, it's not realistic for you, then find a way to structure in your routine that you can go maybe over the lunch hour in the evening, or on the flip side, that you have kids sports in the evening. There's no way that it's going to work. you have to get in the routine of getting up and getting it done early and realizing that, yeah, you might have to sacrifice a little bit of sleep, but if that allows you to stay consistent with your program, have structure, and really prioritize your goals and your health and your fitness, it's worth it. So figure out what works for you. I think, it's easy to see people do these workouts online or to do just random workouts that you see on Instagram. And this works for this person, so it's going to work for me. But everybody's very different. Their goals, their lifestyle, their amount of time that they have to delegate towards their fitness. And you need to figure out what's going to work for you. And that's going to take us right into our second point on how you can stay consistent and keep seeing progress, even in times of low motivation, is to work with a coach. We are obviously firm believers in this. We've both been trainers for nearly 10 years. If you guys are new to the podcast or you don't know, me and Alyssa own a gym together here in Nebraska. We work with people in one-on-one personal training, small group training, nutrition coaching, and we also work with people online in our online coaching program. So we are firm believers of structure and working with coaches, and it's something that everybody has different goals. You're going to have goals of building muscle, losing body fat, improving performance. Maybe you want to increase your mobility or flexibility. But working with a coach, they're going to be able to structure your program in a way that makes sense. It's going to help you progress. And as you progress, the coach is going to be able to keep implementing things to keep you moving forward. Or say that you fall off the wagon, the coach is going to be there to hold you accountable. Or if you have fallen off the wagon, they're going to be there to get you back on the wagon. So we're firm believers in coaching. We love helping people, and it's something that it can really help you make progress, not only this month, but in 3 months, in 6 months, in 1 year, rather than just spinning your wheels and doing the same thing over and over again and constantly falling off the horse, getting back on, falling off the horse, getting back on. Working with a coach, they're going to be able to help you move forward and keep making progress.
Yeah, and I think the thing about a coach too is it takes the guesswork out of, going into the gym and walking in the door and then feeling that overwhelming, even intimidation of the gym being busy, being overstimulated. You walk in and you look at your app or you look at your program and you say, okay, this is what I'm doing today. And, you know what you got to do, check it off, write down your weights. Last week I did, 12 pounds on my curls. This week I'm going to shoot for 20 pounds or 15 pounds, whatever that is. And I think that's the biggest thing for us too, is helping you take that guesswork out and eliminating some of that stress too. Like we all know that you guys have full-time jobs, you're busy, if you're anything like us too, we would benefit from a trainer too. So sometimes we'll bounce off of each other just to get ideas, or sometimes it's like, I don't really want to think about what I'm doing today. So we pre-write our own programs. And like I said, we help each other, and, we both have certain strengths and certain weaknesses that we can bounce off of each other too. So I think that's super important is, while we want to do things on our own and we think we can do everything on our own, sometimes it's okay to allow help from others and, take away some of that extra stress that's unnecessary.
Yeah, you want to take out all the guesswork. Like if you're going to the gym and someone stops you and is like, hey, Brad, what workout do you have today? I have lifting. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to lift some weights, might do some cardio afterwards. That's not going to help you reach your goal. What we aim to do is just take out all the guesswork, keep you progressing from month to month, blend in your meal plan so that it's custom to your goals and your specific metabolism and what you need. So if you are interested in learning more about our online coaching program and you're not local and you'd like to start working with us, I have a link down in the comment section below. You can actually book a phone call with us. Or at that link, there's also a form that you can go fill out to request some more information. So we would love to start working with you or chat more about what you're currently doing and how we can help create the structure that you're looking for. So like I said, after you're done listening to the podcast, go click on that link down in the comment section below. You can book a call or request some more information.
Yeah, so hopping into the next tip that we have is a big one, and it's going to be nutrition. So I always tell my clients, you can come into the gym, you can work your butt off, but if you go home and you eat like crap, or you don't eat enough, or you don't eat period, you're going to have a hard time seeing the results that you're looking to achieve. So nutrition is such a big piece to the puzzle of your fitness journey and your fitness goals. And it's really important that you focus on getting in enough protein, getting enough healthy fats, and getting enough carbohydrates. We need a good balance of each. And I think the biggest thing to making sure that we are consistent with following a regimen like that is by prepping all of our food. So what Jordan and I do weekly is we prep up a whole giant thing of meat. And typically we'll do a couple different varieties, whether it's some lean beef, some lean ground turkey, chicken. This week we did some pork chops too. And then we have all of our protein pre-made so that we can just grab that, divvy that out. And then we usually do either a sweet potato, red potato, or some jasmine or basmati rice. Have that all pre-made, divvy that out. And then we'll have some vegetables pre-cooked as well and be able to just kind of divvy all that out throughout the week. That way, instead of, when lunchtime comes around and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, you're past the point of hungry where you're going to make poor decisions. You just have that meal prepped, ready to go, and you can just grab it out of the fridge. We switch it up by putting on different sauces. So a few of our favorite different condiments are the Primo Kitchen buffalo sauce. We like to do the Primo Kitchen ketchup. I like the coconut aminos, the barbecue sauces that are sugar-free. So switch it up with different sauces, different seasonings, and things like that.
Yeah, implementing that system of meal prepping is super important no matter what your goal is, whether it's building muscle, losing body fat, increasing performance, whatever it is. Your diet is going to help you recover. It's going to help you see the body composition changes that you want to see. And establishing that is a huge pillar in any program. And what I would do is take the tips that we had with the workouts, create the structure of going even deeper of, I'm going to meal prep versus I'm going to meal prep on this specific day at this specific time. So I know I have to go to the grocery store on this day, so I have all my food. Just get it done, get it structured, and you're going to be consistent with that. Even if it's something where, like what we'll do, we'll meal prep on a Sunday, and we have our lunches cooked for the week. Breakfast we'll usually have at home. Dinner sometimes we'll use some of the meal prep, or we'll cook something different, just depending on what our sports schedule looks like with our kids. But if you have that pillar of I'm going to meal prep consistently, it's going to allow you to make good choices, especially when you get busy or when motivation starts to decline. You have that pillar and that system established so that you can make good choices. I have the routine of meal prepping my food. I have the food ready and accessible to me, and I'm going to make a good choice because I've already set that habit. I've already done that consistently week after week after week, and that's going to allow you to continue to see the progress. Motivation, again, for your nutrition is something that's going to come up and down. So if you find yourself getting tired of eating the same things, like Alyssa mentioned, she's always good at mixing things up, different condiments, different foods, have some variety, but just making sure that we're keeping it simple as well.
A lot of times my clients will be like, so what do you eat? Such a broad question. But when we're thinking about, weight loss or, making healthier choices, we think of whole foods, limiting the processed foods, and just picking your go-to foods that you are going to stick with and be consistent with when you go to the grocery store. So staying on the outside of the grocery aisle, trying to avoid, all those processed foods and things like that, but keeping it very simple. So like I talked about in the beginning when I was talking about prepping protein and prepping carb sources and veggies, it really doesn't have to be this crazy recipe that you found on Pinterest and add all these different ingredients. In fact, that makes it more complicated because if you're tracking your food, is very hard to track. So if we just keep it simple, easy, basic, while for some of you that might be like, oh my gosh, that's so boring. I can't eat the same thing every day. There's so many different ways to switch it up. You can switch up your meat source. We switch up our meat every week, even a couple times throughout the week. Like this week we did chicken and pork chops. Maybe next week we do lean beef, and, maybe we do tuna sometimes every now and then, or fish, and then you can switch up your sauces too. Like we like the Primo Kitchen buffalo sauce. We like the I don't know that brand, the barbecue sauce that we like. It's like a sugar-free barbecue sauce.
G. Hughes, I think.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yep.
And we like mustard and salsa. You can switch up your condiments in so many different ways to spice up the meal itself. And then you can switch up your vegetables. And then, like I said, cycle through those different types of carbs, whether it be rice, quinoa, pasta. You can do, tortillas. You can do potatoes, things like that are going to keep your food simple, but make it more of a variety versus feeling like, oh, I have to eat chicken, broccoli, and rice every single day. And that's it. Nothing on top. You can add those things. Just be mindful of what you're putting on. Like, you need to look at the back of the label, read the label, make sure you're not getting something that's loaded with a ton of sugar, like that Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. Pray skip that one.
Tastes great.
I'm sure it does, because it's a lot of sugar.
Loaded with sugar.
So just read labels and be mindful of the things that you're putting in your body, and keeping it super simple is always the key to being successful.
Yeah. I'm curious at this point in the podcast. Alyssa always says Primal Kitchen for the condiment sauce.
Probably
I always
Primal.
say Primal. What do you guys think it is? Comment below. I'm interested to see what you guys say. If you guys have ever used those condiments, those are awesome. They have a bunch of different flavors. That does keep it a little more interesting too. Like just using condiments like from Primal Kitchen that are low calorie, not a lot of added sugar, basic ingredients. It allows it to just keep it a little more interesting and fun. Mm-hmm. We really like the barbecue, the buffalo. Mm-hmm. There's a ranch.
Ketchup.
I haven't had that one. There's a ketchup. Yep. There's a bunch of other stuff. So definitely check them out.
Yeah.
Just allows you to just spice it up. If you can change your condiment every week or so, or every couple weeks, it does allow you to stay a little more consistent with it. Like Alyssa mentioned, just keeping it simple. The more that you create these complex meals and these crazy following recipes that you're making, it's just going to be a lot less likely that you're going to be able to stick with it and get the meal prep done week after week after week. Because that's what we're looking for here, is the repetition aspect. The repetition of the workouts, the repetition of the nutrition as well. So that kind of leads us into our last tip along the lines of the mindset, recovery, tracking your progress. When you get into those times of low motivation, I think it's really helpful to look at the big picture of what are your goals, reassessing where your goals are at. What are some things that you've accomplished that you're proud of? What are some things that you've accomplished or haven't accomplished yet that you would like to keep working towards? Because I think it's really easy to put our heads down. We work, we make good progress, and then motivation kind of goes down, but we don't realize how far we've come. So Don't think that you should rest on that. It's always this proud but never satisfied type of mentality. But if you can look at what you've accomplished, that can kind of re-spark some motivation on, hey, I never thought that I'd be able to get to this point. So that allows me to think that I can move the needle higher and I can keep going. If you could look back at what you've accomplished, I think you're going to be surprised and really tell yourself that I can move the bar higher. I can achieve more. I can keep going. As long as I keep doing so, I keep setting that bar higher and keep challenging maybe progressions in your strength, progressions with your cardiovascular fitness, progressions with your weight loss or weight gain, depending on what your goal is. If you always move that bar up, you're going to keep being able to always chase something. Never having these periods where we're like, I don't really know what I'm working on right now, just here, just working out. Yeah, motivation is going to be really low if you're saying that to yourself versus this workout is designed for this because I'm chasing this goal. It's going to be a lot easier to stay with it.
Yeah, and there's so many different ways that you can track progress. Like you mentioned, it can be a strength progression, but writing those things down, so that you can see that progress, so that you're not like, okay, why is everything, I keep doing the same movement every week and it's just getting boring. But if you write down like, okay, I started at 15-pound shoulder press and now I'm worked all the way up to a 30-pound shoulder press. Seeing that makes you feel so much more motivated, and I think it keeps you going to like, oh, okay, if I'm capable of doing that, what else can I do?
Yeah.
And so not just keeping track of your workouts, but keeping track of whether it's an aesthetic goal that you're looking to achieve. It doesn't have to be the scale. Sometimes the scale can be your worst enemy, while keeping track of the way your clothes are fitting is kind of a better way to evaluate, or just how you're feeling overall. Do you have more energy? Are you, not feeling like you are as bloated, or, I don't know, you feel more toned and stronger. You can pick things up easier. Just things like that, keeping track of those are victories too along the way. And I think that's really important to note versus just always trying to focus on the aesthetic side of the scale. Why is the scale not moving? Well, the scale might not be moving because you've put on muscle mass and your body is changing, but you may be dropping body fat percentage. So just being mindful of those things as well.
Yeah. And, I think it's really easy to say that we want to challenge ourselves and do more and more and more and more workouts, more sets, more reps, more days of working out is always better. But, as I get older, what I found in my own fitness, and then with nearly the 10 years of working as a trainer, working with clients, is that more doesn't always mean better. More structure, more purpose, and the right amount of intensity always equals better. So,
absolutely.
I would rather create a program for somebody that is following 5 days of really optimized workouts. They're seeing really good recovery. Soreness is lasting 1 to 2 days, but they're getting stronger each week. They're feeling better. They're dropping body fat or building muscle or whatever their goal is. Like, you don't have to work out 7 days a week. And actually, if you're working out 7 days a week, a lot of times what happens if the intensity is always high is 3 or 4 of those workouts are going to be good. 1 to 2 are going to be and 1's going to be total shit. And, I would rather you have a positive experience in the gym every time you step foot in the gym. And that leads us to the point of, like, structure is so much more important, and working out too much can cause those periods of low motivation. So if you're beating your body up constantly, and you are breaking your body down, you're not sleeping enough, you're not recovering, that can lead to those periods of feeling lack of motivation. Your body feels fatigued. You're carrying all this fatigue. Stress goes up. Your sleep goes down. Like all these, inflammation goes up. All these negative things start to happen. Therefore, the motivation goes down. And then you're like, what the heck? I'm working out 7 days a week. I can't physically do any more. Maybe you just need more structure, more purpose with your workouts. And if it's taking 1 step back can allow you to take 3 steps forward, it's always worth it, in my opinion. So if you are looking for some structure, you're looking for someone to take out the guesswork of what you need to do, exactly when you need to do it on certain days, someone to hold you accountable, we would love to start working with you. Like I said, we have a link down in the comments below where you can book a phone call with us if you would like to learn more about our online coaching program. Or you can also fill out the form at the link in the comments below. Click on that link. You can fill out a form and we can get you more information as well. Like I said, we'd love to start working with you and create a program to help you see results, but also progress that program as we go along, because it's not just this cookie cutter workout. It's not this really generalized program. It's custom to you and your goals. And as you make progress, we adjust the workouts to help you keep seeing results, not just the first month, but also every month after that, and keeping you staying accountable and consistent. So we'd love to work with you if you are interested. Like I said, the link is in the comment section below.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode.